Oh, how's it going? Happy Friday. We have 1 week left until July and the first day of Shift 30 for 30. So I'm sitting here. I've got a little square of dark chocolate. I like to nibble on these. Um, I've been eating these while I record the previous Shift 30 journals. I love, coffee gets me really wired, but chocolate is nice because it stimulates you, but it kind of just makes you feel like warm, and it's a stimulant without making you feel all like fucking. I always think about what Bilbo said in the Fellowship of the Ring. He's like, Gandalf, I feel like butter spread over too much bread. I always I've always remembered that because it's such a good description of like when you just feel spread too thin, you know? And coffee can leave me feeling like that, but chocolate gives me a nice, different, warm energy. So, anyway, sitting here nibbling some dark chocolate. I just spent the last couple hours recording some prep material for those of you who are in Shift 30. At this moment of recording, there is only one slot left, which is how fucking cool is that? Like, wow. Like, thank you so much for giving this a go. Like, I'm so excited to do this. I'm so excited to meet you if we haven't met yet. Um, this is really going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of things. Let me not just say that it's going to be fun. Because I've said before, like, we're mucking around in our inner worlds, right? So there's going to be intensity. There's going to be pain. There's going to be fear. There's going to be shame. There's going to be all sorts of things. But there's also going to be fun. And there's also going to be joy. And that's great. Like, we want to be able to experience all of that. Like, life isn't about being only joyful and only happy. Like, you want to have like a big emotional palette and be able to experience all of them because that's what emotions are there for. They're natural responses to life. Um, as Johnny Miller said in this cool tweet that I retweeted last night, like, you get to this point where you can say, wow, these emotions are fucking great. You know? That's where we want to be. Because that's what it's like. It's just living. Emotions are a response to life. They're a natural response to life. And if you can't feel them, you're not responding to life. You're not really living. It's just part of life. It's about being fully alive. So I'm definitely feeling that right now. Like, wow, these emotions are fucking great. And obviously, that's an easier thing to say when you feel, you know, upbeat and positive and spacious and happy and joyful. But there's also the opposite of that, feeling really heavy and dark and pain. And let me just suggest that it is possible, not easy, but possible to be in the thick of that kind of emotional experience and still say, wow, these emotions are fucking great. So, yeah. So, yeah, I spent the last couple hours recording a explanation and then a demo of this technique. I called it in this tweet here. Let me see if I can zoom in more. Ah, perfect. Um, my favorite demon hugging method. It's not technically called that, but I think it's a good way to describe it, right? That's sort of my spin on this, I guess. Demon hugging your demons. I learned that from Pia Melody, right? If you look at my bio, I have a quote from Pia Melody, and this comes from her book Facing Codependence, which I really recommend. It's a really great book. She's one of my favorite thinkers in all of this stuff. But hug your demons or they'll bite you in the ass. You know, it's like there's all sorts of other ways to talk about that. Like if you want to get Jungian or fucking talk about IFS or whatever, like there are other ways to describe that idea. But this is the one that I like the most. Hug your demons or they'll bite you in the ass, right? So I just spent a couple hours recording an explanation of my favorite way to do that, my favorite way to hug your demons. And I did, part of that was me, well, in the demo, part of it was me being like, I fucking love XYZ, right? And really feeling it, not just sort of being like, you know, so I've never done meta. I've never done meta with Tashin, but I suspect that it's largely similar. You know, I think I've heard a lot that in meta you're sending loving kindness towards other people, but right, you can also do it to yourself and parts of your body, and so I think largely that's kind of what I was doing. It's a version of that by a different name. I mean, there's more to the technique, but just I'm saying that one part of it in which I'm expressing love and like really feeling it and embodying it. I think that's kind of what happens in meta. You know, I'd be curious if you're in this with us, Shift 30, and you do meta, like, tell us about it because I want to learn more about meta. Like, it's an area that I haven't really explored, but there's a lot to learn there. Obviously, Tashin teaches it. Really, people really love it, you know? Maybe during July, I'll start going to his meta Fridays or whatever, Saturdays, if I have the time. You know? Why not? That might be really fun. You've probably seen, I mean, like, I'm all about, like, this is what the whole point of Shift 30 is, like, whether you join it or not. That's why I've talked about, like, Shift 30 as a hashtag just for July, because it's like, fuck. Oh, okay. What else can we look at? I want to just look at this thing. What's that? Here, I'll turn off my sound and then we can maybe like look up a nice video of the ocean. Yeah. Cool. So there's a beach. And I might as well just make this full screen. So yeah, there's a beach. And beach is one of my favorite places to go. You know, I talked about it before. I grew up in Hawaii, and I love just going to the beach and like sitting in the sand and digging your toes into the sand, digging your hands into the sand, feeling it, resting in the sand, and just watching the ocean because it's always moving. It's always interesting. It's so peaceful and relaxing, and such a great way to, like, you know, Irene Lyon, who is a somatic nervous system expert practitioner that I've been studying for several years now. One of her practices that she teaches, like, as a fundamental practice in her, like, big nervous system course, is called orienting. And it's not really meditation, but it's about, like, I can imagine it might be similar to some of the stuff that Michael Ashcroft teaches, of like expanding your awareness into your environment and tuning into every one of your senses, right? So coming out of your like your thoughts and tuning into your environment and realizing, right, like if you're actually sitting there at the beach with like your friends and family, like how utterly safe you are, and you can just be in the moment and tapped into all of the sensations, all of your connection to the outside world around you, and you're just there and you're orienting to your environment. And the beach is such a wonderful place to do that because the ocean is constantly moving, it's constantly changing. Like, look, these waves, the current, right? It's always different. But yeah, anyway, so I recorded that session about this technique that I'm going to share with you guys. It's what I'm going to be doing for the most part throughout Shift 30. I'll probably play with other methods and I will involve other practices in it, but like this is the one that really works for me, resonates with me most of all. It really like just kind of cuts through the butter. I don't know, that's not really a saying, is it? But like it gets right to it. Everything else that I've studied helps it work and helps me understand how it works and like makes it easier to like make sense of why it makes sense. But yeah, this is the practice that I really do recommend that you try at the very least, and is what I'm going to be doing. And so I spent a bit of time explaining like sort of the idea behind it and just like a step-by-step of how it works. And then I recorded, which was pretty funny to do because I've never done it to share before, but I recorded a full session of me going through that process, like a whole demon hugging process. And I gotta say, like, when I finished that, I looked in the mirror and I looked different. I tweeted, I was like, I just finished doing this and I feel so fucking alive right now. And I do, like, I feel alive and energetic in a way that I did not a couple hours ago. And also, when I looked in the mirror, my face just looked different. My eyes were like brighter, my skin had a different quality to it, like my muscles in my face were more relaxed, and like this sounds fucking stupid and douchey, but like I looked better, I looked more attractive. I was like, yeah dude, looking good. Right? Which I didn't feel 2 hours ago. So this stuff has power on so many levels. It's not just changing your thoughts or your beliefs or your emotions. Like, this is somatic. It goes deep. You can see it in your body. You can hear it in your voice. You'll hear it when, if and when you listen to that recording. You can hear it. I played with my voice, and I'm very, one of my favorite things is just like really paying attention and noticing how my voice sounds and how it feels and what's the most easy expression, because that is like one of my favorite ways to get a real intricate sense of like how I'm feeling and what my felt sense is. I tweeted about that before. Like, sometimes the best and most accurate way to express my felt sense is just through a sound. Like, forget about words. Sometimes it's just like ugh, or sometimes like yeah, right? Like, it can be anything, like woo, right? Words can keep you stuck sometimes because you're trying to like make it make sense and trying to make how you feel into an idea, but sometimes that doesn't allow you to like really tap into and express the real intricacy of how you're feeling. But when you do that and when you use sound, you can express that, and that gives you a better grasp on how you're feeling, and then from there you have a better way to describe it. It's like, oh, I feel like right? And then it's like, oh, that's like exhausted or like gross, like I want to almost like throw up or something like that. That sound is not how I'm feeling right now, but right, like you can begin to try to describe what the sound was, and through that focusing process be like, ah, yeah, I think like that really feels like right. That feels like an accurate way of describing how I just sounded, you know? So start with a sound that might work for you. That's often what I do. But anyway, yeah, you'll hear in the recording, I play with my voice, and I really focus on and I pay attention to my voice to experiment with what feels good. Like, how am I wanting to express myself? And it evolved over the course of that whole session. It started out a little bit more cautious, a little bit more trapped, took more energy to say these things, and I was quieter, and over the course of it I got louder and more expressive, and like my voice deepened and became more resonant in my body, you know? So it's really powerful. So I could feel it in my body, I could feel it in my voice and my breathing. I could see it in my face when I looked in the mirror. I could see it in my eyes, you know? So this stuff is really goes deep. It goes deep. And it doesn't have to make sense to your brain. Like, it might seem ridiculous, and you might not be able to make sense of it right away. But there are other ways that you can notice that things are moving and things are changing and there's something going on. And that's what the felt sense is about. That's why this is called Shift 30 for 30, because it's about felt senses and felt shifts. It's not like logically figuring out different things. It's like feeling. It's in your body first and foremost, and then your mind will catch up. So anyway, that's what I did. I'm gonna share that with everyone soon. Is there anything else I want to talk about today? Tomorrow is I'm running Freewrittenbyten, Freewrite10by10. So if you want to come to that, and you're a member, if you're participating in Shift 30, that is totally free to you. If you are listening to this and you're not yet, or you can't, there's no space for you in Shift 30 for 30, you can still come to that. It's $10 for you. There's 10 slots open to people who aren't in Shift 30. And we're gonna just do free writing, and we're gonna have like a little free writing party where we do 10 sessions of free writing. So that's just like spontaneous exploratory writing, and you can write whatever you want, but I'm suggesting that maybe one way to use this time is to explore, like, what are the things that I want to focus on during Shift 30. Like, what are the things where I'm feeling stuck or struggling with, or that I want to achieve? What am I feeling resistance about, you know? And we'll have 10 sessions of 10 minutes of free writing where you just like turn off your critical brain and you just write and you journal about it and you explore it. And so you'll go for 10 minutes and then read over what you wrote, find what in there is like the most important thing to you, like what's the most resonant thing, and then in our next session of 10 minutes, you start with that, and that's your prompt, that's your inspiration. So you start with that thing which was most resonant from your first session, and then you go deeper into that for another 10 minutes, just writing all out without stopping, right? Without critiquing yourself, you just like word vomit, like I'm doing right now. So you do that again, and then you read that. You read what you wrote the second time, and you do the same thing and pick out what's the most resonant, important thing here. What is it that I want to explore further? And you do that again for the third time, and you do that 10 times. And by the end of it, I can't promise, But how it's worked for me in the past is like you get to some deep places that you never knew, you never expected to explore or arrive at. You never know because it's spontaneous. You're not starting with an outline. You're not starting with a destination. You're just asking yourself, like, what is it that I want to explore? And you just write and let yourself go wherever you go. And you'll get somewhere pretty interesting. I feel pretty comfortable promising that. You'll get somewhere pretty interesting, right? And then in free writing, you say whatever the fuck is on your mind. So if you don't know what to say, you say, fuck, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to write. I'm a fucking idiot. Blah, 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 blah. You literally can write blah, 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 blah. I've done that billions of times. And if you just keep writing that, you'll be like, oh, actually, something just came to my mind. I want to explore my relationship to work. Or like, my fucking boss. I hate him. Blah, 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 whatever. And you explore that, right? So you just keep going. Things will come. So anyway, we're doing that tomorrow, Saturday, June 25th. Technically, we're going to be starting at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, US. That's subject to, I guess I'll stick to that. No one has suggested that that's not going to work for them, of the people who have expressed interest. So we'll stick with that. Maybe I will just start, or maybe I'll just show up earlier anyway, and like I'll send out a link to people if they want to come earlier, and we'll do that. We'll hang out, we'll free write for a couple hours, as long as it takes us to do 10 sessions, and we can listen to music, we can chat, we can talk about free writing, we can just get to know each other. And then after that, you'll have 100 minutes worth of just like pure improvisationally produced journaling about what it is that you want to spend time with during shift 30 for 30. And you have this like fucking buffet of stuff to reflect on and work with in July, So you'll probably learn a fucking hell of a lot about yourself just in the process of writing it. So it's going to be really interesting. I love free writing. I've been doing it for like a decade. It's how I found VisaCon. Because I was looking up, I was like, are there any other people who like do this? And I found his shit about 1,000 word vomits. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. Like there's another person who's doing this. And I followed that rabbit hole, and I found Teapot and all this, and here we are. So it's a pretty cool thing. And that's happening tomorrow. So if you're already participating in Shift 30, it's totally free for you to join in. If you're not, then it's $10. And there's a link to it on my Buy Me a Coffee page. And yeah, I will be creating a Twitter group DM for all the Shift 30 participants. So I'll send out the link there tomorrow. And I'll send it out by email too, just so everybody has some way to access it. And I'll see you there. I'm really excited. Like really, really excited. I'm getting so much more excited by the day. So I hope you are too. And if not, that's fine. If you're feeling scared, that's totally understandable. If you're just feeling confused, that's totally understandable too. Everything's cool. It'll be okay. It'll be fun. And maybe I'll see you tomorrow. And if not, I'll see you in July. All right. Happy Friday. Have an awesome weekend.